see where it's just been trampled, and there's horses around it keeping the other wildlife out. I'm not saying that happens in Douglas County, but this letter is not just about Douglas County. It's about the state of Nevada. And I think something more needs to be done. I don't know if it's the gathers, but something needs to be done and quick, or we're gonna lose all that habitat out there for the animals that I do like to hunt.
Can I make
Your
a-
public comment's over, sorry.
I think that's an extreme comment. You know, these
Sir,
AMLs,
sir, this is board discussion.
they designate
Sir, you're out of
thousands
order.
of acres per individual wild horse or burro. And that's the fact. And that's no way fair, mister. No way fair. And it's very easy to judge just on superficial.
If you
evidence.
continue, we're gonna have to have you removed, sir,
Sir,
please.
please
Okay,
respect the process.
I just had to say that, because
Okay, you
it's the
have to
truth.
respect the process, sir, please. Okay, this is for board discussion, and other members of the public want to hear how and what we think, and that's an interruption to that.
Okay, I just had to say that, I'm sorry.
Okay, Michael?
So I'd come at it at a different angle, and I did my master's dissertation on the wild horses. And I think the overarching agreement on both sides of the fence is the BLM and the Forest Service managing it the way they do is not working.
Correct.
I wholeheartedly believe, I mean, name one other species that is in surplus that's managed by the feds. Usually the Endangered Species Act, where they're falling off the board, that's when the feds jump in. When we have problems, that's when the feds jump in. But for some reason, in the 70s, the federal government came up with, we know better than the locals on how to handle this, we know better, and we're gonna come in and we're gonna wholeheartedly handle that. Taking in the success stories that we've heard here today, I think it's not the angle coming from that way. I would argue that the management of horses at the federal level is in the wrong place, because local biologists, local scientists know it works in this drainage, it doesn't work in that drainage. HMAs are larger than most hunt units. So that would be my issue with it coming from that angle, because the science on the other parts is differing. Peer-reviewed journals argue against each other regularly, but having a species managed at the federal level that is in a surplus makes no sense for any other species, and that's my 2 cents on it.
So, Mr. Chair, I must have misread this agenda item, because I thought we were going to be supporting or not supporting the commission to sign on to this letter, not that we were actually going to become signatories to this letter.
No, I was gonna make that clear, but I think all the comments from the other board members and public are relevant because it's such a broad issue. But I am gonna start my comments with that, because during some of the public comment, just so everyone's aware, we cannot sign on or reject this letter from the Coalition for Healthy Nevada Lands, Wildlife and Free Roaming Horses. Alls we are is an advisory body, and this board will make a decision today whether we support the Nevada Department of Wildlife becoming a signer on of this letter, rejecting it, or we'll take no action. So that I'll make my comments. This is a difficult topic. There is no easy answer, I think, unless you're on one extreme end or the other. I think everyone on both sides of this issue realizes it's difficult. And like Craig, outdoor enthusiast, I mountain bike, I hunt, I'm a lot of times outdoors. And like Craig, I don't know of any of my fellow hunters that want to see wild horses gone. I think it's cool seeing them. I don't like some of the things I've seen, like the pine nut herd's done an excellent job. It's a healthy herd. I don't see riparian damage up in the pine nuts. I rode up my mountain bike up the Buena Suerte Springs. It's untouched. I've seen horses around it, and it's fine. But then I was in Area 11, which is just south of the Sheldon 2 years ago, and the horses were starving and pushing antelope off. It was right before we had our big winter last year, so the drought was at its height, and there was clearly too many horses. And how we reduce that number, and if the AML is correct or not, is don't think even within our ability to solve here, or does that letter even address that? They just go into supporting the BLM and getting more money and doing it. But on that item of the letter, what I wanted to discuss with my fellow commissioners is, this is a hot button topic, let's not even sidestep that. And we've got this coalition coming before public bodies asking for endorsement. And I have a problem with their lack of transparency. Whether it's intent or by design, I don't know. But I spent 2 days researching this group. The only name I could find who's associated with it is a gal who identifies, a woman who identifies herself as Rebecca Stetson as the chairwoman. And I had to get that out of a Facebook posting. It's nowhere on their website. Past presentations she's made at the state legislature and other bodies on this issue, the links are broken and you can't get to the supporting information. This website for this group was registered on March 1st, 2022 with GoDaddy. It expires on March 1st, 2025. The registration, the registrant info for group or person is redacted for privacy. The administration of the website has been redacted for privacy. And the only information is the registrant who created the website resides in Arizona. There's a lot of special interests. I think I've heard things on the pro-horse side that just leave them alone. They're not a problem. Let them starve to death. That's not right. And I've heard testimony before the legislature where people have advocated shooting them, and that's ignorant. But when we as a body step forward to say to wildlife, sign on or don't sign on, I really, it's not really the issue at hand. It's about, is this a special interest group? At her LinkedIn profile, Rebecca Stetson, she is a cause advocate. She has a cause and she gets paid or takes it on. So is a special interest group paying her and all this is private tied to them? I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody. They aren't here. I don't know who these people are. And after 2 days of, and I know how to do this, search around websites and Facebook pages and LinkedIn, that I'm at a loss to who they are. And I've got a real problem recommending that a public body, a public policy-making body, like the Board of Wildlife Commission, sign on to a letter unless there's more transparency of who these people are, where they get their money, and who's funding them, and what they represent. I don't know how, if you guys have any comments on that or aware of them.
So, thank you, Paul, for, that's actually very helpful. So I just went around the room and I know of a few people that aren't here as advocates, so I discounted them. I counted 31 people, Lorraine, that are here as advocates. Oh, wait, I missed those two, 33. I started over there. So if our minutes can reflect that, but in light of that information, I mean, you all heard where I stand. I have pictures of wild horses on my phone that were beautiful horses. I love seeing the wild horses, but I also love seeing deer and elk and antelope, and being able to get the water. It's our turn now. You're done. Okay. But in light of that, I cannot, in good conscience, vote either way, whether we support the commission signing on or advise them not to sign on. I can't go either way, so.
And is that?
I'm gonna make a motion that we take no action on this item.
I'll second that.
A second. Okay, well, do you guys have any other comments?
No, I appreciate your research that you did on it, Mr. Chairman. That was very enlightening, and I do know some of the sign-on groups that I'm a member of, like Nevada Bighorns and things, but in light of your research, I have a problem with that.
Well, they're sign-ons, not members, and that was my issue, and.
Right.
And as we know, I mean, I see some of these sign-ons have gone at each other's. Backcountry Hunters and Anglers had a big falling out with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation over their coziness with the OHV industry and not back in their roadless initiatives. So a lot of these groups are sign-on, but they're not individuals, and they're not members of this organization. They're just people who've said, we'll sign on.
Well, thank you for that information, so that does change where I feel like, Craig, that I don't think you can, I will like to take a position on this letter.
Okay. Then I'm sorry to interrupt, gentlemen, if I could rehear a motion in a second.
Well, I have a motion that we take no action on supporting or not supporting the commission sign on to this letter.
That was my second.
Okay, I have a motion by Craig Burnside to take no position in supporting Endow to sign on to this letter, seconded by Mike Xavier. I'll take it to the board for vote. All in favor of no position?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none opposed, we will not support, we will not take a position on Endow.
So the
supporting
commission, not
supporting
Endow. There's a
Excuse me.
department and there's a commission.
Excuse me.
Coalition.
Okay, item 3B, for possible action, discussion on the petition submitted by Mrs. Rebecca Goff.
Do you want to take a moment if
Yeah,
anyone
or
wants to go?
if everyone we'll take a moment to see if anyone wants to clear out.
I'll take a moment. No, it's okay. Miss Wilson.